Welcome to Paper of the Week. My name is Steve Eddy and I'm a naturopath, and today we're going to be talking about the Indian Journal of Dermatology. Wow. Well, what have they come out this week with? They've come out with a wonderful paper on acne vulgaris. A vulgaris means common, so it's the common type of acne that people get, and a lot of people get acne. Now, one thing that frustrates practitioners is we know that acne is associated with typically androgens, which is the male hormone. Now, if a woman develops acne, they may go to their doctor. The doctor may test their testosterone levels or androgens like DHEA, and they'll come back as normal. And you go, well, it's not testosterone. Well, in fact, it could be, because there's two parts of the story of testosterone. Firstly, there's the chemical itself. It could be too high, or you could have elevated receptor activity to testosterone. In other words, the normal amount of testosterone binds to these many receptors and gives you an exaggerated effect of testosterone, which can lead to acne. Now, the $50 billion question is, well, how do you know if you've got these receptor problems? Well, there's two ways. The first way is you can take a punch biopsy of your skin and send it off to the laboratory, and they can test how much, how many receptors you got. Or secondly, the answer is at the tip of your fingers, and I mean that absolutely literally, the tips of your fingers. The paper says, and I'll read the title, it says, second to fourth digit ratio in female patients with acne vulgaris. Could it be a predictor of androgen receptor status? Now, what does that mean? The ratio between your second, and I'm holding this up to the camera, which is your pointer finger, and your fourth finger, the ratio between those two, the studies have shown that if this finger is shorter than this one, and depends by how much, then you have higher level of androgen receptors. So that's a very interesting point. So that means you could have, normal levels of testosterone, but if your receptors, like your pointer finger is, ratio, in other words, is a lot shorter, then you can have an exaggerated effect of testosterone. Now, I thought this was interesting, and I thought, well, okay. And so I, of course, asked around the office to say, well, and everyone's looking at their hands, and sure enough, the one woman in the office that has, acne every now and again, she had this ratio as well. So it sort of confirmed of a study of about 10 people. But it's very interesting. But this study actually measured hundreds of people, and they did a biopsy and they measured their right, left, and their fingers ratios. And as you can see with mine, my pointer finger is quite low, and my ring finger is quite high. So the ratio is therefore quite low. Therefore, I have a higher androgen receptor. So this finger, the pointer finger, is shorter than that one. So very interesting stuff. So you can actually look at your receptor status just by looking at your fingertips. So that's incredible, because if you do have this particular ratio problem, then you could have normal levels of hormones, but your receptor activity could be a lot higher, and therefore that could be problematic. And conversely, if your pointer finger is about even or higher than your ring finger, then of course your receptor activity could be too low, which means you could be a woman suffering, say, low muscle mass and of course low libido, for example. So, too much of something is bad, too little of something is bad as well. And yes, women need testosterone. So the conclusion of this study said, a masculine second to fourth finger ratio in female patients, in other words, a short pointer finger, could anticipate acne vulgaris development, its duration and severity. Moreover, this ratio is associated with an upregulation of cutaneous, which is skin, androgen receptors. Taken together, second to fourth digit ratio could help in designing plans treatment for acne vulgaris. How cool is that? Just to recap, if your ratio, in other words, the height of your pointer finger to your fourth finger, and this one's shorter than this one, then that means you've got higher androgen receptors, which means you're going to be more sensitive to testosterone. So you could have completely normal levels, but your sensitivity to it is higher, and that can lead to problems. So I found this paper quite interesting, and it's 352 people, and it was the results were very significant. So I thought you'd find that interesting, and this was only published very recently. As I scanned the paper, it was this week. So that's a pretty recent paper and a very interesting one. So that's Paper of the Week, and I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you. I'll see you again next week.